Good morning, Steamians, you goobers, youngsters. What's up? I had an interesting day yesterday. Those of you that I didn't talk to on the platform, I managed to come up on 3 Zotac 1080 Ti Amp Extreme editions. Those are 11 gigabyte cards. They at Micro Center have them. They had 3 of them in stock. I got 3 of them. So this is a tutorial on how to buy multiple graphics cards when the store has a 1 per person per month limit, which is insane. I went in there, well, first, good thing I listened to my big-brained wife, because she said that she should go in first. I was going to have her go in after me, which, good thing she didn't, but, so my wife went in first. I told her, what type of card I wanted in the car. She kind of said it to herself a couple times, and I told her where she'd want to go look for it. So she didn't really have to ask anyone for help or attract any employee's attention to her to where they remember that she just bought the same kind of card that I'm going in to buy a couple of. Because I've already reserved 2 of them online, in which they don't state that there's this 1 per person per household policy. So I tried to reserve 2 of them when it showed me they had 3, and in my cart online they took 1 out, so it just gave me 1 card and the solid state that I was going to buy. Then I noticed that it's out, so the next day I go back on to see if they have stock, and it showed me that there are 2. I'd reserved 1, and so I reserved another one, and I got my Windows 10 USB, and so 1 was going to be ready. 1 I had to pick up before today, Monday, and the other one I had to pick up before tomorrow, but they were both ready. So I went in, so I sent my wife in, she goes, she gets it, she gets back out to the car with me. So I asked her kind of like who she dealt with or what they looked like. So I didn't deal with that same person, because the last thing I want is some little chick going in there. My wife's not very big, tall either, so she's tiny. But some tiny little girl going in there and getting a graphics card, like a specific one, and not just looking around and then deciding that they want that one out of them because of the price or anything, but actually knows exactly what she wants and gets help. And then, I didn't want to come in contact with any of those people. So I'm going to be like, wait a minute, I just sold a lady this exact same card, and now you're trying to buy 2, and I don't know, I just try to think of everything. But so she gets it, no problem, comes out, tells me who she dealt with. She's like, there's a taller guy with dreads who helped me out, who rang me out, and the guy who got it for me was like from the back. So as long as you don't ask anyone, on the floor for anything, you shouldn't have come into contact with anyone that I dealt with. So I go inside, I start walking over to the front desk where you pick up your card, or pick up your online orders, and the first person I see at the desk is the guy with the dreads. No one else in there's got dreads, so I'm like, alright, well, I guess I'm gonna have to come in contact with him. And there was another lady and then another guy that were also at registers at the front desk area, or the online pickups and repairs area. So I just get in line and get up to him. I tell him I got 2 reservations to pick up with my last name. I tell him that there's a graphics card on each of them and a solid state and a Windows 10. And so he goes back and he gets my stuff. Now, why he even brought both of them out, I don't even know now in hindsight, but he brings out both graphics cards, brings me out the Windows 10 and the solid state, and then he goes, I'm not sure if it's still our policy or not. I gotta check, but I think I may be only be able to sell you one of these. And I'm like, huh? He's like, yeah, I think I may only be able to sell you one of these cards. And I'm like, because of the type of card, or like, I'm not really understanding. Like, so you mean to tell me that anyone with more than one computer who plan on having VR in their house can't buy more than one graphics card from you? He's like, I'm not sure. Let me go ask my manager. So the guy comes over and he's like, yeah, no, I'm sorry. We're just trying to deter resellers, and a lot of people come in and they want cards like these, and we got to make sure we have them for everyone. I was like, if you need to have them for everyone, you have a ton of them in stock here, And he's like, yeah, I know, but I'm like, and you have tons of other ones in stock that are also VR capable, correct? Like, yeah. I'm like, so I mean, you got some for everyone. What does it matter if I buy 2 of them? And it's like, unfortunately, yeah, it's just a store policy. It's not my policy. It's just, that's what our GM wanted to do to try and stop resellers. I'm like, I get the whole dealing with resellers. I used to work at a Puma that had outlet line, as well as had like the Dassler and Black Label and all Puma's nicer kind of designer brand stuff. And we used to have resellers all the time that came in the Chicago area. And the thing is that as long as they were kind of respectful of our like stock, I guess you could say, like, they weren't trying to like scoop up a brand new shoe that we had and clear us out of all the sizes. Like, we really didn't care. Like, like it's money coming into the store, and and that's kind of the point I tried to make to him. I was like, I'm not coming in here buying 4, 6, 10 of these as I would like to, but I'm not coming in here trying to buy you out of everything. I'm just trying to buy 2 of these. And he pretty much just like kind of brushed me off, but wasn't an asshole about it, just kind of brushed me off and walked away. And the guy at the cash register, I'm like, it's cool, man, just ring me out for the card and the other stuff, and if you could hold that card, like, do you have like a GM who's here, or like anyone else I could talk to about this, because I just drove almost an hour to get out here, and you guys approved my 2 reservations, and I don't think that it's right that it doesn't state anywhere on your website, didn't state anywhere in any emails that I can only buy 1 of these. Just wait till you hear how many or what kind. But so, he's like, yeah, there's a guy named Chuck here. So I go and I find Chuck, and I'm like, hey Chuck, my name's Phil, how are you? And shit. And he said, I'm like, I was told that I can't buy more than 1 graphics card at a time. What is the rule exactly? Like, can I buy a different VR ready card? Is it just 2 of the same one? or like what exact, I don't really get this rule. And he's like, no, it's actually any 1000 series card. We will only sell you one per person per month. So any 1000 series. If I want to buy a 1050, a 1060, a 1070, 1080, it doesn't matter. Any 1000 series card, they will only sell you one per person per month at this micro center that I went to. So I'd never heard this before. I've heard of like putting like 2 per household limits or 2 per person limits when you're ordering them, but I've never heard of them putting a per month and restrictions to all, umbrella, including all 1000 series cards. So I was like, all right, is this your policy or is this a company policy, like a corporate policy? Because I don't see how that's even like right. Like, you're telling me that any person that has more than 2 of the, or more than 1 of those, and I pointed at the VR set that was right there. It's one by HTC that uses Steam games, and no, not Steam like Steam it, but Steam the gaming community. So it uses those, and he's like, well, I'm sorry, and he kind of gets pissed now, and he's like, if I didn't do this, then nobody would be in here buying builds. And I'm like, you'd be selling out all your graphics cards though, you got shelves full of them. And he's like, yeah, well, then all of the people who are trying to buy computer builds to game wouldn't have anything. And I'm like, me buying 2 of them, or people buying 2 of them at a time, is not going to kill your gaming industry. So, so I get his card. I'm like, dude, like, since I was allowed to order these, it didn't, you didn't cancel my order, you approved my order. I drove all the way out here, like, let me get one of your cards. And, so he gives me his card, and I'm like, and what's the manager at the front's name that I dealt with? And he's like, oh, not only will I tell you, I'll write it down for you. So writes it down on the card. As I'm walking out, that the first manager, like, he looks at me and then literally looks at the ground. And I said, hey, whatever his name was. And he looked up at me, and I didn't like yell it. I just said it so he could hear me. And the 2 employees next to him, like, looked at him after I said it. I was like, hey, thanks for wasting an hour of my day. I just drove out here to pick up my reservations, and now I gotta go and find some other store where I can get this so I can finish this build. Thanks, bud. And I walk out, and I call my wife, tell her that I'm out of the store to come pick me up, because she was driving, trying to get my baby to fall asleep. And as I'm standing there, she's like, are you done? And I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to you when you pick me up. And I hear, sir? So I turn around, and it's the first manager that I dealt with. And he's like, where'd you drive out here from? And I told him, like, what town I lived in. And he's like, you know what, come on, just come inside. I'll sell it to you. Like, I'm not supposed to do this, but I'll sell you one. I'll sell you the other one, okay? So he starts trying to, like, explain himself. He's like, we're trying to, reserve our stock and make sure that people aren't buying these and reselling them, because a lot of people do right now, and it's a big money market thing, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, look, but I get it. Like, my only point is that you guys, like, personally within the store accepted my reservation with the same name, same address, same everything, and saw that I had 2 cards, and approved it. It doesn't say anywhere on the site. It actually says on your site a 2 per household limit. So when I ordered the first one and you guys removed one from my cart, I assumed that you were out of stock because I let it sit in my cart for a minute. I'm like, so then the next day when I went on to go relook at other things that I thought that I may need, or that I was forgetting, I noticed that you have some in stock. So I grab another one and something else. So it approves my order, then puts it on a shelf next to my other order. And I drive out here, and then you're going to tell me that I can't purchase them. So he sells it to me. I get out to my car, and I now have 3. The Zotac GTX 1080 Ti's Amp Extreme Editions. So now I have 6 of those and 2 Aorus 1080 Ti Extreme Editions. And I have 2 more Zotacs that'll be here. I'm going to see if another store carries them, because these other ones ship in like 2 weeks. And I really don't want to wait that long to add the other 2. But if Best Buy or somewhere has them, I'm going to go check them tomorrow. So yeah, that was my journey to Micro Center yesterday. And then late at night, my boy Giorgio sent me an email and was talking to me, letting me know that he got 2 extra Antminer D3s that he doesn't want. And he's going to see if he can somehow change over the like shipping or